Hey Todd, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing really good.
Good.
I'm glad to be talking to you today.
How are you today?
Pretty good.
You're in Minnesota?
Yep, that's right.
There are dogs everywhere. I apologize.
I know what that's like. I got a bunch of dogs myself.
Yeah.
So I have a whole bunch of Kim
you doing?
Possible questions for you here.
Oh, great. Let's get to them.
Alrighty. So, how did you end up getting the role for Dr. Draken?
I auditioned for it about a year ago this month, and I went in and I read, and they then brought me back to what they call a mix and match, where they were trying out different she-goes and trying out different Drakens, and then I believe a week later I got hired, and then they brought me in to, since I was already playing Draken, they brought me in and read me up against like 13 different she-goes.
And then you ended up with Taylor Ortega.
Taylor was, yeah, she was, like, they brought in some great actresses. But it was just very clear when Taylor walked into the room, and she and I clicked immediately. We have very similar backgrounds. We're both improv people from New York, and so we kind of spoke the same language, and we went off script a lot, and it was just very clear from the jump that she and I made sense as Draken and Sheila.
And when you auditioned for the role, what was it about your take on Draken that made the producers like you so much?
I guess that would be more of a question for them, because they're the ones who did the hiring. But I would say one of the things that they encouraged me to do, and I think they obviously were pleased with how I executed it, was being able to balance the silly with also the scary. So, like, keeping him a credible threat with motivations and a dark streak to him, and then being able to then turn it on a dime and get real silly with it.
And with all the characters being live action now, how did you come up with your version of the character?
Well, first I started with the basis. The foundation was the cartoon, because in order to pass the sniff test of the fans, you want them to immediately recognize the character that they've grown up with. So I started with that, and I was fortunate because I'm friends with John DiMaggio, who voiced the original character, and he called me and he gave me his blessing, and then he gave me a couple bits of secret sauce on his take on Draken. And so then I used that as a foundation because he wanted to feel authentic, and then I went from there and kind of put together other influences that I like. Mark Hamill's Joker, Tim Curry from Everything, and little Gene Wilder from Young Frankenstein. I just kind of built it from all these different comic villains from cinematic history, and then I put my own spin on it, which was, when you're playing a character that you have a man who's obsessed with a teenager, you have to make it creepy for the right reasons. Right. So I made him jealous, like another teenager might be.
And when you were preparing, did you watch any of the Kim Possible original series?
Yeah, of course we did. We watched. I watched a bunch of them for the audition, just to kind of get into the headspace, and then during the process, going back and looking at specific moments and looking at supercuts of him, just because a quick time from the time that you get hired to the time that you have to start shooting. I mean, I had seen a bunch of episodes through the years because my son and daughter have watched the show.
Okay.
And so it was on in our house. Then I paid closer attention once I got the role, and then looked at what fans would consider definitive Draken episodes. And you do your research because again, this is a movie for new fans and old fans. You want kids who've never seen Kim Possible before to have a great time, but then also kids who are hardcore fans of the TV series to recognize their heroes and villains.
Yeah, I used to watch the show when I was younger myself, and when I heard about the movie, I was really, really excited. And you guys did such a great job. I watched the movie like 100 times now.
Yeah, we put a lot of love into it, and everybody I think took great care. Plus, it's a credit to the producers and the directors and the writers, especially the writers that wrote on the original show. It's a credit to them that they recognized there's going to be a lot of people who grew up watching this who are going to be looking for us to mess up. And so they tried to include as much homage and authenticity to the original series to honor the hardcore fans. And then all the Easter eggs that are in Kim's bedroom and references to other characters, senior.
Yep.
Yeah,
I definitely caught them for sure.
Killing it. Yeah.
And for the makeup process for the scars, what was that like?
Well, we did I went up to Vancouver twice before I even started rolling film, just for makeup tests, and we tried everything, and so it would be about an hour and a half into makeup and an hour and a half out of makeup. And then, so I would go into makeup for an hour and a half, and then I would go before camera just for camera tests, just to see what felt right, what looked right. I know there was a lot of complaints from the fans that I wasn't blue enough. And then some people love the look. Some people, we wanted something that felt distinct for our live action, that felt a little more grounded in the real world, but still was creepy, still honored the blue without looking like a Smurf. And so they settled on the blue veins. And then if you look close, there is sort of a blue outlining of around my forehead and my ears and my neck, and highlighting blue around the eyes, so that I didn't look like I was painted.
Right.
There was an overall blue motif without looking like a genie from Aladdin.
Right.
They wanted it to look like an accident that had gone wrong or a disease, rather than kind of me looking like a clown.
It was a really satisfying look, I have to say.
I think so. And it's iconographic, and it's something that we could own for the movie. Like, the cartoon will always look like the cartoon, and the movie now has its own iconography. There was one funny thing that I had, it didn't make it into the final cut, but a lot of people were wondering where Draken's ponytail was.
Yeah.
And in the scene when we're escaping the, when Shigo is busting me out of the jail at the beginning of the movie, there was a moment where I had the prop department make me a ponytail, that as if when I got thrown in jail, they cut it off, and I saved it. So there's this moment where I'm talking to her, and I'm waving my ponytail at her, and then I look at it and throw it in the bag and go. But when you're editing, you cut for time, and you cut for pace and whatnot. And so that moment didn't make it in, but we did want to at least pay attention in the initial shooting of it to the fact that, yes, he's had a ponytail in the past.
That's really cool to hear.
It's fun.
What did you love most about playing the character? What's so unique about him?
Well, I think what we were talking about earlier, which is his ability to turn on a really dark, goofy, and I don't often, a lot of my background is in comedy, doing sketch comedy in Chicago and stuff like that. But often a lot of the roles, like 12 Monkeys or Gotham, I'm often playing pretty menacing or pretty villainous. And so it was nice to get a chance to go back to my sillier, broader roots, playing a big goofy villain, which was really fun. And then, of course, being able to play with Taylor as my partner in crime, that was just, she and I had so much fun on set. And she was the one I worked with the most. I really only have 1.5 real scenes with Kim herself in the high school when I'm stealing Athena, and then at the big finale with the fight. And we don't have much actual screen time together.
Right.
It's more me plotting and her doing her thing. And so most of my filming was with Taylor, and she was an absolute blast. The whole cast was a blast, but improvising with Taylor a lot. A lot of our improvisation made it into the final film, so it was fun.
And you kind of answered this already, but you were a villain in other projects as well. Was this kind of a new challenge for you for a family-friendly film?
Boom, boom. That's my dog. Boomy, come here. Come here. He's barking and people are walking. Every role is a challenge, and it always has its own set of circumstances. So this was no different than any other role, other than the fact that it allowed me to flex more of my big physical comedy muscles. That I've done my fair share of sitcoms. You don't think about it when you're saying family friendly. You're just playing a part and you're just doing that script. I'm not thinking, how do I perform this in a family friendly way? Everybody. You know what I mean? You play the part, and the story it tells is family friendly, and the writing and the script is, but you don't play a character that's family friendly. You just play a character,
And do you have any similarities and differences between you and Draken?
We're both 6'2". we both have green eyes. We both have plans for world domination. I would hate to think that I have things in common with that guy. He's a big baby. I think he's the least like me. I think of most characters that I've ever played. He certainly is. He's got a short temper. I don't. He's petulant, which I'm not. But we look a lot alike.
And what would you say is your surprising moment, your most surprising moment on set?
Surprising? I don't know. I've done a lot of TV shows and whatnot that have a lot of special effects. So new stuff. It was fun to be on wires, to be like strung up and have to do all that stuff. They had me on wires and lifters for the high school scene when we crashed through the roof. That stuff is always fun. I didn't get, it's funny because Draken does not do a lot of action. She goes doing all the action. Draken just sort of stands in the background with his arms folded, laughing or telling her what to do. So there wasn't a lot of stunts per se for me in this film. But surprising? Oh, I was surprised at how comfortable my costume was.
Really?
When I saw the original designs for it, you get worried that you're going to have to be walking around suffering through some sort of thing that looks amazing but feels terrible to actually wear, which was probably Shiga's outfit. She was kind of pushed into a leather bodysuit for the whole thing.
Yeah.
And long, warm days on a soundstage, that can get a little cumbersome. But my costume was this big jacket that had snaps that I could just take off in between takes, so it was really comfortable.
And what was your first?
But yes, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, you were talking, so.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say.
Sorry about that. What do you remember from your first day on set?
First day on set. I'm trying to think what was the first thing that we shot. Oh, you know what? We shot the prison escape scene. And I remember looking at the set thinking how impressed I was and how it kind of felt like a big budget movie, just this like cool prisoner set. That was really cool. And then the special effects of Shigo blowing the door down and stuff. It was really a great way to dive in head first. And plus, it's his first scene in the movie, so that was cool to kind of shoot that part in sequence. Right. So my introduction in the movie was also my introduction to the project as a whole.
Mm-hmm. That's a really cool way to bring about the character. I really enjoyed that scene, and the fact that it was the very first scene you shot. That's pretty kind of funny.
It was fun. And it sort of included a lot of the history of the character with all the clippings on the wall, and it spoke to the past that he has with Kim. So it was a bit of a nod to the old show. It's cool.
What's something about being in Kim Possible that most people would not expect?
Most people, but I don't know what people would expect. So
kind of a surprise when you see it.
Pardon me?
It's kind of like it was a surprise for me when I first saw the film, so I was not able to expect it the way it was. So it was a big surprise adventure for me.
Well, I think the big thing that people is when you're writing a 2-hour movie, the character needs to have an emotional arc, and I think the thing that fans were surprised at was how they leaned into Kim's insecurity, and which I think made her far more relatable and yet still aspirational. She's still jumping around and kicking butt, but I think the fact that she had her confidence shaken was surprising for fans. When I read the script, I'm like, oh, because Kim in the script or in the TV show is very much like she's the one with the plan. She's the one who knows what she's doing. She gets the job done. And I think in this, to have that character's confidence shaken was new for fans and surprising. And yet, when you're trying to tell a story and deepen it in a live-action way, that sort of element is deeply necessary.
And what would you say is the most exciting part of being in Kim Possible?
Oh, just being part of the Disney family and seeing the fans respond to it. The chance to play a quote-unquote Disney villain, that's a huge thing. Like, and there's not a lot of us, you know. So it was a cool opportunity to join a family that I find is beloved. Like standing alongside, you know, Ursula and Maleficent and Captain Hook. You know, I'm a Disney villain now, and that's pretty cool.
That is really cool. Well, if you can be any other super villain other than Draken, who would you be?
Any other? You know, I would love to play the Joker. Obviously, that is he's kind of the top of the mountain for supervillains, right? Mm-hmm. And he's been played so iconographically in the past. It's a tough call, right? Because you go, it's been done right so many times, but it's just such a great villain that you want to get your hands on it.
Right.
And I'm a big DC Comics fan, so it would be a lot of fun to play the Joker.
Yeah, I'm a big fan too, so if you ever make a Joker, I'll definitely support you there.
Thank you.
I got one more question.
Please ask.
I got one more question. Are there any hopes for a sequel?
That is far outside of my purview. That would be, obviously, if the fans, if enough fans are the ones out there calling for it, that certainly and I don't know. I honestly don't know. That's I'm sure there's many ideas and scripts ideas. I literally have no clue if there is any official plan to make a sequel one way or the other.
Well, I certainly hope there will be one.
Disney certainly likes to make sequels, but I just don't. I don't have any information about that.
Well, I hope there's one, so I'm crossing my finger for that one.
Why don't you tell Disney Channel? Tell Disney Channel that you want a sequel.
I sure will.
And they like I said, they certainly listen to their fans.
Okay, before we log off, I have something I would like to show you that I did. I don't remember if you saw this on Twitter or not, but I did this sketch.
Oh, wow. You're talented.
Thank you.
That's fantastic.
Made out of watercolor and Sharpies.
Yeah, those are beautiful.
Thank you.
Those are Copic pens or just all Sharpie?
Just Sharpies and watercolor pens.
Those are beautiful. That's great.
Thank you.
Take a snapshot of that again and put it up. I'll share it on Twitter.
Oh, that's really good. All right, I will.
I'd love to do that. Yeah, please do. Take a nice picture of that.
I will, and I'll send it to you as soon as we finish talking.
Please do. I'll blast it out there on Twitter. That's beautiful. Great work.
Thank you. It was really great talking to you today. So thank you
great
for taking the time.
Great talking with you, too. And thanks for being such a vocal fan of the film. We put a lot of love into it, and so we're so glad that it has reached people.
Yeah, no problem. And I gotta say, I haven't seen 12 Monkeys Season 3 yet, so I may have to just buy the DVD.
Ooh, you're gonna love it. It's on Hulu if you have Hulu.
I need to get a Hulu, but I don't have it.
Okay.
Alright, well, thank you, Todd. It was really great talking to you.
Great talking to you as well, Belle.
We should do it again sometime.
Take care.
You too. Have a good one.
Bye. Bye.